What's up guys, I'm BTC. We've gotten several reworks that took formerly troll pick characters and made them viable, but there still remains one character that's still in that troll pick status. Couple quick things. Some of you may have noticed when you try to watch a new video, you get a screen that says this video is private. It's a bug. It's not just my channel. It's all over YouTube. There's nothing I can do. Hopefully it gets fixed soon. In the meantime, if you see that, just try refreshing or come back in like 5 or 10 minutes and it should be resolved. The other thing is the sub box issue is getting really bad again. So just because you're subscribed to my channel doesn't mean my videos are going to show up in your sub box. You have to turn on notifications by hitting the bell and setting it to all. Otherwise, my videos might not show up in your sub box. Now with that out of the way, let's get to Overwatch and talk about some troll pick characters. There have been a lot since the game was released. Now just because a character can be a troll pick doesn't mean it was always terrible or that the person who was playing it was trolling or trying to throw the match. But there are certain characters that have always been synonymous with the troll pick. Hanzo, Junkrat, Bastion, Symmetra, Torbjorn, and Sombra when she was released as well. Now, if you're relatively new to the game, you might be looking at that list and saying, whoa, Junkrat and Hanzo are troll picks? Yes, when the game came out, they were both unbelievably bad. They were almost completely used as troll pick characters. Very few people actually tried to use them seriously. But then Junkrat got a bunch of buffs, and he became a very strong and viable pick in many circumstances. He still gets countered, and he's not useful all the time, but he's definitely a strong and viable character now. Hanzo got a rework. He went from one of the worst DPS in the game to all of a sudden, he is now the best mid-range character in the entire game. Sombra recently got a rework that took her from being a difficult-to-use, rarely viable hero to something that's actually pretty strong, at least in the upper bracket. Not so much in the lower bracket because she still requires a lot of team coordination and communication in order to be effective, but she definitely is way stronger than she was before. Torbjorn is now 100 times stronger than he was before his rework, and Symmetra, well, she had one rework that was a bit of a failure. She still was really niche, still really bad. After her second rework, she's better, but she's still not all that great. I think the new Symmetra 3.0 still needs some changes, still needs some buffs in order to make her a little bit better and more viable. But I don't think she's fully a troll pick anymore. There's really only one character in the game after the Torbjorn rework that is still going to be considered a troll pick, and that's Bastion. If you take a look at the hero pick rates, Bastion is pretty much at the bottom across the board. PC, Xbox, PS4, Bronze through GM, pretty much every single place you look, Bastion is at the bottom or at least pretty close to it. And it's only going to get worse once Torbjorn's rework hits the competitive ladder in about a week and a half. The reason is because his ultimate, the Molten Core with the lava, is so unbelievably powerful at dealing with an entrenched Bastion. All of this comes from the fact that Bastion's design is very problematic. His issues are very similar to that of what we had with Torbjorn prior to his rework. He's a very stationary character, he's pretty much single purpose, and he also requires a lot of support from the team. You have to have barriers, you have to have dedicated healer, all this sort of stuff. Not every character in Overwatch needs mobility, but with Bastion, it's taken to the extreme. Not only does he not have mobility, he literally has to sit in one spot in order to be effective. Now, if you have the barriers and the healing and all that stuff to back you up, then it can be quite powerful as a defensive mechanism or even offensive in the pirate ship for the payload maps, but generally that's only effective in the lower brackets, where there's a lot less team coordination and people maybe don't have as good mechanical skills in order to deal with that entrenched Bastion. But in the upper bracket, Bastion's just kind of a joke. Even the payload pirate ship stuff doesn't really work anymore, and when the Torbjorn rework goes to ladder, it'll be completely ineffective because Torbjorn is just going to completely shut it down. So Bastion is in this really weird spot where he can sometimes be too powerful, but at the same time, he's just completely garbage. All of the other troll pick characters have gotten buffs or reworks that bring them up to some level of viability or even make them quite strong. Back in the day, you would never hear someone say, hey, can we get a Hanzo? Can we get a Junkrat? You would never hear that. But now it's quite common to hear those sorts of things. Even now, you'll hear stuff like, can we get a Sombra? Can we get a Symmetra? And I'm pretty certain you're going to hear people saying, can we get a Torbjorn? Which is just something you would never ever hear before. And I think this effectively makes Bastion the last of the troll pick characters. And when I say troll pick, I'm referring to players having a generally negative opinion of the hero insofar as it's going to be ineffective or it's going to be a detriment to your team. Whereas the other characters, Hanzo, Junkrat, Torbjorn, whatever, like you can pick them, they may not always be effective, but they're not going to be considered troll picks anymore. So if I were working at Blizzard, Bastion would absolutely be the next character on the list of significant changes for a rework, because the character is just really problematic, the lowest pick, almost never used, really niche in his effectiveness, and when he is used, he's either unstoppable in the lower brackets or completely worthless in the upper brackets. So the changes that need to happen with this character are, you can't simply just give him his barrier back that he had way back in the day in beta, and you can't just increase his damage or increase his health or change the resistance and stuff like that, because anything that you change to make him better in the upper bracket is going to make him that much stronger in the lower bracket. I've been thinking about what they could do to improve the character, and I'm putting together a full rework video for Bastion with all of my ideas and changes. One thing that I think absolutely needs to be changed is his self-heal needs to be replaced. When Bastion is effective, he has a barrier and he has a pocket healer, so you have no use of that self-heal whatsoever. And if you don't have the barrier and pocket healer, then the self-heal just isn't good enough and you get completely destroyed. So it's either completely worthless or it's ineffective. In either case, it just needs to go. So I'm curious what you guys think about a potential Bastion rework, and I'd like to hear some of your suggestions, so put those in the comment section down below. But keep in mind that you can't just crank up his damage or his defenses in order to make him viable in the upper bracket without completely destroying the lower bracket. You have to balance it out. So what are your ideas? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.